All right, so get this. Elvis is charting again in the UK. But
Right.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not just on the regular charts. It's on the streaming charts decades after he passed away.
Oh, wow.
We've got this Forbes article
Okay.
that breaks down this whole phenomenon.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to get your take on this whole thing.
It's definitely fascinating, a fascinating case study. I think we're seeing how streaming is really changing the whole music landscape, like what's considered classic and current.
Right.
That line's being blurred.
Yeah. Can you break down for those who aren't chart experts what these different UK charts actually are?
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about Elvis's greatest hits compilation, Elvis 30 #1 hits,
Yep.
climbing both the official albums chart and the official album streaming chart.
Exactly. So the official albums chart that's been around forever, it's based on physical sales, digital downloads, and now streaming numbers as well.
Okay.
It gives us a broad overview of what albums are popular across all formats.
Got it. So where does the streaming chart come in?
The official album streaming chart is a bit newer,
Okay.
and it focuses just on stream. So it's basically like a snapshot of what people are listening to on Spotify, Apple Music, all those services.
Interesting. So Elvis's compilation is climbing on both of them.
Uh-huh.
The article says it re-entered the UK Top 40
Right.
on the official album's streaming chart,
Right.
climbing to number 38.
Wow.
And it also went up to number 47 on the main official albums chart.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that pretty rare for someone who, let's face it,
Yeah.
was a superstar long before anyone dreamed of streaming music?
It is unusual, and that's what makes this so interesting. You see, in the past, an artist like Elvis would mostly be discovered through their back catalog, the albums they released during their prime.
Right, the way we probably discovered them.
Exactly. But with streaming, it's almost like the playing field's leveled. People are discovering his music organically through playlists, algorithmic recommendations,
Right.
even through samples used by current artists. It's like he's being introduced to a whole new generation who might not have sought him out otherwise.
So it's not just older fans streaming his music. It's younger audiences discovering him for the first time.
Yeah.
Almost like he's competing with today's pop stars.
Precisely. And that's not something you see very often with artists from his era. I mean, the compilation actually reached #1 on the main official albums chart when it was released back in 2002.
Right.
But it wasn't until 2015 that it even appeared on the official album streaming chart. And even then, it debuted at number 76.
So streaming wasn't a huge factor back then, but
Was-
things have clearly changed. What happened?
Mm.
Why the sudden surge in popularity?
Right.
Did someone famous sample one of his tracks, or was there a movie or something that brought him back into the spotlight?
Well, there hasn't been one massive event like that. I think it's a combination of things.
Oh, really?
One, streaming platforms have gotten really good at curating music. Their algorithms are designed to connect listeners with music they might enjoy regardless of when it was released. So a younger listener who's into, let's say, a modern rockabilly band could easily have an Elvis track pop up in their Discover Weekly playlist.
That makes sense. Like if you like this, you might like that suggestions, but on a massive scale.
Exactly. And then you also have to think about curated playlists. Streaming services often create playlists based on moods, genres, or even eras, and Elvis's music is often featured in those. This exposes his music to a way wider audience than ever before.
So it's like he's getting a second chance at reaching this whole new generation.
It is?
So what does this tell us about these streaming platforms?
Uh-huh.
Are they kind of acting like tastemakers now,
Hmm.
influencing what people listen to?
I think to a certain extent they are. Their algorithms and playlist curators are definitely shaping how we discover and consume music.
Yeah.
And in Elvis's case, they're definitely playing a part in his resurgence.
That's pretty wild when you think about it. It's like these platforms are breathing new life into classic artists,
Yeah.
almost like a digital preservation effort.
Yeah, and it raises some really interesting questions. What happens when the lines between musical eras become blurred?
Right.
What does it mean for how we define success in the music industry?
Yeah. It's not just about selling records anymore, is it? It's about streaming numbers,
Mm.
playlist placements, algorithmic boosts, all that stuff.
Exactly. And Elvis's chart performance is a perfect example of how that's changing the game. It's a really fascinating glimpse into the future of the music industry.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It really makes you wonder how much of this is driven by these platforms,
Yeah.
versus the quality of the music itself.
Right. That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a chicken and the egg situation. Clearly, Elvis's music has stood the test of time. There's a reason why it continues to appeal to people across generations,
Right.
right? But would this be happening to the same extent without the power of streaming?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah. I guess it's like giving these classic artists a boost.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a little help to reach a new audience.
Exactly. Think about it. Back in the day, if you wanted to discover music, you'd have to like actively go out and search for it,
Yeah.
Go to record stores, listen to the radio, get recommendations from friends.
Right.
But now it's all at your fingertips. You can explore countless genres and artists from every era all in one place.
And that's where these algorithms come in, right?
Yeah?
I mean, they're not just randomly suggesting songs, are they?
No.
They're like analyzing your listening habits,
Exactly.
figuring out what you like,
Mm-hmm.
and then recommending similar artists or tracks.
Precisely. They're constantly learning and evolving based on your behavior.
Wow.
So if you're someone who likes a bit of rock and roll and you've maybe listened to some newer blues-inspired artists,
Yeah.
there's a good chance an Elvis song could pop up in your recommendations. It's like they're connecting the dots between different eras and genres, introducing you to artists you may have never heard of.
So in a way, they're acting like these super smart, music-obsessed DJs,
Yeah.
curating this personalized listening experience.
That's a great analogy. And it's not just limited to those recommendations either. Those playlists we talked about, the curated ones,
Yeah.
those are incredibly influential as well. I mean, think about Spotify's Mood Booster playlist or Apple Music's All Out 80s.
Right.
Millions of people listen to these playlists.
Yeah.
And they often feature a mix of like modern artists and classics like Elvis. So it's a great way to kind of introduce older music to a new audience.
Almost like a sneaky history lesson,
Yeah.
hidden in plain sight.
Right.
You're jamming out to your favorite pop song and bam, hit with an Elvis track that blows your mind.
And that's where the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
That's how they're creating new fans for artists who might have been relegated to like the oldies bin.
Right.
Bridging that gap between generations.
Yeah.
Proving that good music is timeless.
Okay, so back to Elvis.
Yeah.
This Forbes article dives into some interesting details about how his compilation have been performing on these charts.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about the fact that it debuted at #1 on the official albums chart back in 2002.
Yeah.
Massive achievement, but the streaming chart paints a different picture.
Yeah, it is fascinating to see how that trajectory has played out.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't even on the official album streaming chart until 2015.
Exactly. Debuted at number 76.
Wow.
Not terrible,
Yeah.
but not setting the world on fire either.
Right.
Gradual climb from there. But then in August of 2022, something really interesting happened. It shot up to number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. What do you think caused that?
It's tough to say.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some viral trend on social media using his music. Maybe a popular artist sampled one of his tracks. Or maybe a movie or TV show used one of his songs. Or maybe the streaming platforms themselves were promoting him more heavily at the time.
Like all these little things added up.
Yeah.
This perfect storm of Elvis fever.
Exactly. Shows how unpredictable the streaming landscape can be.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing, with trends popping up and fading away.
Right.
But Elvis has proven that his music has staying power.
So it's not just a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
It's not just nostalgia.
Nope.
His music is genuinely resonating with a new generation.
I think so. It speaks to the power of these platforms
Yeah.
to shape taste and introduce people to music they might never have heard.
Yeah.
It's really quite remarkable.
Okay, so if Elvis, who passed away decades ago, can do this,
Yeah.
what does that mean for other classic artists?
Right.
Could we see a wave of comebacks?
It's a great question, and I know a lot of people in the industry are wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
I think the potential is definitely there. Streaming has really leveled the playing field in a way that traditional media never could.
So theoretically, any artist from any era could find a new audience.
Theoretically, yes,
Okay.
but it's not quite that simple.
Right.
It's not just uploading your music and hoping for the best.
So what are some of the factors that might contribute to a classic artist finding success?
Well, first of all, the music has to be good. It has to have that timeless quality that connects with people across generations.
Right.
It also helps if they have a large body of work, not just 1 or 2 hits.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have the whole marketing and promotion side of things.
So it's not just about the music itself.
Right.
It's about how it's presented to the world.
Exactly. It's about getting on the right playlists,
Right.
getting those algorithm recommendations, basically making sure that your music is easy to find. And that's where the record labels and the streaming platforms play a big role.
Sounds like a real opportunity for these classic artists to find a whole new audience through streaming.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like it takes more than just having great music.
It does. It's not a guaranteed thing. You need a good strategy and maybe a little luck, too.
Right. The Elvis example shows it's possible, though.
Definitely. It's exciting for both artists and music fans.
It really does make you wonder who else might be next. You know,
Yeah.
like who could be on the verge of this huge streaming comeback?
Tough to say. But I'd say look out for artists with a lot of music that covers different genres.
Okay.
Artists with a dedicated fan base.
Right.
And artists whose music has been sampled or covered by current artists.
So artists who might have been considered niche or underappreciated in their time, but could find a much larger audience now.
Exactly. And it'll be interesting to see how this all develops.
Yeah.
It's changing how we think about different musical eras and genres. It's all becoming one big mix, and I think that's great.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love finding new music?
Right.
And streaming makes it so easy to explore music from all these different times.
Absolutely. It's like a huge musical library right there on your phone.
Yeah.
And the best part is you never know what you'll find. Maybe you'll discover someone you've never heard of and love them.
Right.
Or maybe you'll rediscover someone you thought you knew and see them in a whole new way.
It's like a musical adventure.
It is.
Speaking of which, for anyone new to Elvis or those who just want to hear the classics again, what are some tracks you'd recommend?
Oh man, that's tough. So many good ones. But if you're starting out, you can't go wrong with Jailhouse Rock,
Classic.
Hound Dog, and Can't Help Falling in Love.
Great choices.
Those are some of his most iconic songs.
Yeah, and if you like those, there's a whole world of Elvis music to discover.
There is.
You won't be disappointed.
This Elvis resurgence is just amazing. It reminds us that great music is timeless.
It really is.
It connects with people across generations and cultures.
Yeah.
And streaming makes it so easy to find and share that music with everyone.
It really is a testament to the power of music. It's exciting to think about the future of music discovery in this digital world.
Yeah, it is.
Keep listening, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next Elvis.
That's right. Keep on rocking.